Hello, everyone, and welcome to the United Party Podcast. We got a very special guest today. Alberto Raggio is an autodidact. He's a self-taught entrepreneur. He's an author, and he is a student of life in the field of artificial intelligence and its impacts on the workforce. He is very well versed in technology and innovation, and he's committed to helping folks adapt to the ever-changing environment of artificial intelligence. And his expertise lies in providing really strategies that you can apply, and it helps individuals kind of reinvent themselves and really thrive in this new world of automation. So, Alberto, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Your brother, I appreciate it. It's an honor to be here, man. When, you're getting this thing going. I was very excited when you asked me to be on board. I believe in the message of the United Party and what you're doing for people. And this topic of AI, this sector that you created for your podcast, is very important because there's a lot of people with fear in their hearts right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the fear of the unknown is the worst type of fear you can have.
Right.
I've been fortunate enough that I've always been very curious. And I think that curiosity is what caused me to ask a lot of questions. As a little kid, I was like, why are you doing that? I remember the guy coming over, the electrician coming over to work on something. He kept pushing me back. Kid, get back. So I'm like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? And then I would go and actually cut the lamp, take the lamp and cut the cord off and try to do the same thing, and I was just intrigued about how things worked.
Mm-hmm.
And so my curiosity I couldn't find people that would teach me fast enough. Early on, that was called that you had some type of mental issue. Your kid asks too many questions, is not compliant. He doesn't follow the rules like everybody else.
Right.
And so I just felt that if I was going to get any knowledge, I was going to have to seek it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to seek out teachers and individuals that I respected in every aspect of my life. I always remember that I was always been looking for someone that I can look up to and learn what I needed, and then made it my own. And so that's got me to this point in my life. And the topic of today is extremely important. I've been fortunate enough that technology has always been a major factor in my life.
Right.
It's an extension of the things that I couldn't do myself.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the luxury of actually going to school, to a real school. So education was something that either I didn't get it myself, or I was just not going to get it. But I've learned early on that entrepreneurship means the curiosity to discover how things are done and then taking action to get them. And so I follow that rule. And I've had a little bit of success here and there. And I just felt that it was my duty to educate people that were less knowledgeable than I am about things that they're not so keen into. And if you would have asked me where AI is 4 years ago,
Right.
I would say it's evolving. We're about maybe 5-10 years from now where you'll see a major impact. And then ChatGPT was released.
Mm-hmm.
And people go, oh my God, this thing is so cute. I can get it to write things for me, ask it questions that normally I would have to work for, and it gives me instant answers.
Right.
But what people don't understand is that we are giving it. We're feeding the monster that eats our cookie.
That's a good way of putting it.
That's what we're doing. Everywhere, people are using artificial intelligence to feed information to get their jobs done.
Right.
And the reason their jobs are being dismissed is because you've been teaching it how to do these things. The more you feed it, the more intelligent it becomes. And it starts replacing certain jobs.
Right.
That are accounting, gone. At the rate that this thing is going, not much I can tell a kid.
Yeah. Right. It's a whole new world.
Well, it is. I can't say, okay, son, accounting and finance is a great business to be in. And one day, I'm sorry, that's not good advice.
Right.
Those jobs are going to be done by something else, and it's not human. It can do it quicker, faster, more efficient. So the things that will exist in a young kid's life 20 years from now,
right,
we have absolutely no clue. So we can't even prepare our kids for what's coming.
Right.
All we can implement in our kids is the common sense of wanting to be hungry for knowledge
Right.
and to study what's going to be here in the future or what may be and try to prepare as best as possible.
Right.
That's all you can do,
So I agree. And that's a big thing that United Party is really focused on. And we take a lot of pride in that. We recognize that this AI revolution is going to uproot everything the same way the Industrial Revolution did, the same way that the dot-com revolution did. But this thing is happening at such a faster rate, and it's probably going to have way more significant change than we've ever seen before.
Absolutely.
So talk about what was the motivation. I'm really inspired by your story because you see this change and you see the kind of fear setting in on a lot of professionals out in the workforce. And, your thought process is very aligned with Be Golden. It's like, hey, I want to help these people adapt to this dramatic change that we're about to experience. What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, it was out of my own insecurities, of not knowing something and being displaced. When I read a post on LinkedIn, I'm heavily on LinkedIn. This guy put a post about losing his job after being a writer for God knows how many years.
Right.
And I'm desperate. I'm broke. I need money. What can I do?
Exactly.
And the number of comments were huge.
Yes.
And I realized, and I started looking at other posts and realized the number of people that also in fear, and this is an outlet for them to mention and try to see if they can hear somebody say something that will make sense to them.
Right.
And we have a tendency to complicate things as humans.
Mm-hmm.
I know CEOs that have been running multi-million-dollar companies, and they're like, I'm clueless as to what I would do if I lose my job.
Yes.
Everything I do is structured in such a way that I have other people do the work. I just kind of navigate this ship.
Right.
And AI can now do this navigation based on the requirements of the board.
Yeah.
The board says, we want this to happen. And the
Yeah.
AI is creating that path. And then it's creating that path and creating instructions for the workers to do it.
Right.
And if the workers can't do it fast enough, it quickly says, we need to report that Bob, an accountant, is no longer needed because he cannot process information fast enough to get the results that you guys want.
Exactly.
So that's what's happening with the system.
Right. The fear is real. I mean, that's a perfect illustration of it. Your LinkedIn guidance that you're giving. But let's talk about like the real impacts. Like, what is the current state and the various industries and jobs? There's about 5 to 7 largest ones. Give us a little
Absolutely.
insight there.
There are certain jobs that AI at this moment can't replace as fast. Jobs, anything to do with accounting, customer service,
Right.
even drivers, truck drivers, taxi drivers, even legal assistants, secretaries, paralegals, gone. Those jobs are easily being replaced. And these are the people that have been making good money doing this for a while. And the answer is the time to reinvent yourself.
Mm.
Knowledge is the key. And the thing is that you have to be able to sit down and say, what am I good at? What service have I been providing?
Right.
And then you need to dig in and see, how do I take this knowledge and make it useful for a company that's having a hard time right now figuring out how to implement AI?
So that's the future mindset, right? That you've got to have in this environment.
Education is key.
Right.
And there's so much education available on the internet, but you need to have the ability to go and the willingness to go and say, proper planning prevents poor performance. If you're not taking action right now because you think that your job will not be replaced, rude awakening is coming.
Yeah, I agree.
You need to start preparing for the possibility of that happening at any level.
Right.
And understand, do your research. What jobs will be replaced?
Right.
What jobs will exist? Healthcare is one of those that I think AI will still have a hard time replacing nurses, LVNs, medical
Yes.
field areas, construction. Yeah, we have robots that can build things, but the nitty gritty stuff, it still needs, someone with expertise to be able to do that kind of work,
Right.
construction, remodeling, stuff like that. But these office jobs,
The work with your hands
technical
stuff is what you
jobs,
think is safe, but the office stuff is, yeah.
yeah. So the only way to do that is to reinvent yourself and understand that if you learn the skill of what's called prompting, prompting is the ability to give the AI a command to get a result.
Okay.
And there's a technique for doing it. And if you learn whatever work you've been doing, and if you can learn the skill to talk to AI to do what your job was before, then you can actually get hired by companies to come in and help you implement the solution because it's happening. There's no change in it.
No stopping
So
it.
either you jump in and take the skills that you've learned through all these years and become a consultant for companies, for instance, to go in there because every company is facing the same thing. Either adapt or go out of business.
Right.
So how are we going to improve our accounting system if we don't really know how this thing works? You need someone to
Exactly.
come in and say, you know what, I've been doing accounting for many years. I've learned how to use technology. I'm a consultant. Those kind of jobs will exist.
Right. So how do people stay ahead of the curve? I mean, it's such a rapid change when you look at the trajectory of tech change and AI development. I mean, it's happening at an uncontrollable rate. It's astonishing. So what advice would you give to people to kind of like stay ahead of the curve and really embrace the automation? Is it the
Subscribe,
prompting?
start if you start digging around, you're going to start finding sources, and just stay connected. It's an ever-changing process, but knowledge is key. You become an expert in learning what you need to keep up with, depending on what area of business you are in.
Right.
So there's a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of information freely available. There's places that offer free classes on prompting.
Right.
It's out there. Companies are begging people, hiring people to come and learn.
Right. Prompting is a big deal. I guess that's really kind of the big takeaway. I guess, or not
It is.
takeaway.
It is because the output
Right.
is based on what you put in it.
Yes.
And if you have somebody that have some skills and they know how to implement the right information to the system, it will produce better results.
Right. And so I guess there's different approaches to prompting, right? Like you said, like you have to focus on what are your skills and like what are your gifts that you've been God-given gifts. What do you have? What do you possess? And then from that perspective, you start thinking through the prompting lens, right?
Exactly.
Right.
How can I use technology to my favor? It's not here against you. It's here to make you evolve and learn new skills to survive.
Right. It's a tool, right?
Exactly. It's a tool. And you
Tools
have
are-
to go back to school
Right.
and learn how to use this tool.
Right.
And people that don't,
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? A tool can be used for something good.
absolutely.
A tool can be used for something bad.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are focusing on the bad part. And there is a bad part to this. It's going to take a lot of jobs.
It's gonna
The
do it.
amount of fear that's going to rise. Do you have any guidance for people really aimed at overcoming the fear and then finding a way to thrive?
Start looking for answers now. Yesterday.
Yeah.
Don't wait for something to happen and you get that notice, I'm sorry, we're going to have to let you go. And
Right.
then it's like, oh my God, I got all these bills to pay. Start the process of reinventing yourself now.
Yes.
That is the key. I remember I was in Dallas and I knew it was coming, and the tollway used to pull over and pay an attendant. They give you change,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember telling God, this job is going to be gone here soon. Like, oh, my friend, no. Who's going to give people change? I got people that come here all the time. I know them personally. And I remember a few months later, they shut it down and they were building a new version of it. And one by one, the attendants started disappearing.
Oh, wow.
And now it's just, you don't have a toll tag.
Yeah.
They'll just track you down and mail you
Yeah,
your ticket.
I've gotten a few of those.
Yeah. So it's like I was wondering, where is that guy? You know?
So it's happening.
Oh
like,
yeah,
it's
grocery
already
stores
happening.
is happening, gas station is happening, anything that is service oriented
Right.
is going bye pretty fast. The epidemic, when it came, it forced everybody to quit. Then the government started giving money to people.
Right.
Then people did not want to go back to work. So you open up a restaurant and you have no staff. And so you either have to make changes or you go out of business. So comes this company and says, hey, we got this little robot. And what it's going to do is going to serve the food, bring the food out. So you don't need food runners.
That's incredible.
And so these robots are starting to cook the food. So when people try to come back to work, it's like, hey, man, your dishwasher on back. It's like, I don't need you, man. I was forced to hire Billy the dishwasher robot here, and he does an amazing job. There's no job for you here anymore.
Right.
So it's evolving. The same thing in the warehouses. You see robots managing every aspect of warehouse.
Yeah.
That was it on purpose? I don't know, but it sure got rid of a lot of people complaining about working 8 to 5 and doing too strenuous of a job. And this, okay, we got a robot now, and it works 24/7, doesn't complain. Yes, it costs twice as much as you, but in 2 years it's paid off.
Yeah. So what do you think about on the other side of the coin? Like that's kind of the bad, right? The tool will be used to do things that take jobs, right? That's kind of a bad situation for us, for humanity in general. But what about on the other side of the coin, like the good? Is it do you see this providing more jobs, like new job opportunities?
Absolutely. We're gonna have to evolve. I own the domain name No Problems, No Money.
Okay.
Where there's problems, there's money. And right now we have a lot of problems. And the same problems they're feeding the fear of firing people is the same problem you can make money on. And that's because companies don't know what to do.
Right.
They're looking for somebody to guide them and help them and show them, in every aspect of their business, accounting, sales, HR. If I was an HR person, I would be spending time learning how to communicate and how to get AI to create manuals, procedures, process. It can only give you what you ask and what it knows. But if you teach it new skills, you can take that information and go into a company and say, I have developed a strategy that utilizes the latest technology with AI to help you run a better HR department. And I will help you implement these solutions. Now you become extremely valuable because you're that you're that go-to person that understands how AI implements into your business. So you don't have to go out there and learn things.
Right.
Because it's overwhelming, like you said earlier. It's changing at a rapid pace. And if I spend too much time doing this, I can't run my business and I go out of business. So bringing somebody that says, I was in HR, now I'm in technology.
Right.
I've learned some skills. I've learned how to program and get the results you need. And for XYZ dollars, I'll be your consultant and I can come here and implement these solutions for you.
Right.
Companies are looking for guidance. They're looking for consultants that can help guide them through this change in process.
So you think that's going to be a big new opportunity? You talked earlier about like saying, hey, you got a son going into college. Like, hey, son, I don't know what to tell you what to study right now because the world's going to be a completely different place by the time you're getting out of college, right? So thinking through that, with the limited, awareness we have of what the future holds, right? You really think the greatest pathway forward is to really understand prompting, right? And the classes, the education that you're talking about, that's probably not worked into university at this point.
Oh no, man! Kids are dropping out of school. I believe in school. I believe that at the top of everyone that I know that is successful, there's one common denominator, and it's the word discipline. If you can develop some discipline within being in school and learn how to study and how to disconnect so you can study and take a test, if you learn those skills in school, you can use those skills to learn how to prompt, how to research where things are going in the type of industry that you want to be, and make yourself valuable by becoming a student of the trade and a master of your profession.
Right. So it's almost like you should, like, I'm just thinking through this educational path. I'm sure education's going to get disrupted just like everything else will with this. It's almost like after, or maybe even before you graduate high school, like, where do you think prompting education needs to be worked into the current structure, right? Do you need to know the prompting piece before you find your vocation and what your skills are to contribute? Or do you think it needs to be vocation first, then prompting?
Well, it's disruptive. So if I'm at university and I count on students paying me a bunch of money and for me to teach them something of value, learning is completely turned upside down.
Yeah.
I can tell AI, teach me how to speak French. And it will teach me. And if it's too complex, I'll say, no, that's too hard for me. Change it. Make it easier. And it's going to learn how I learn. And it's going to teach it to me and go, here, and in 2 weeks, I'm speaking French. It adapted to my personality and says, this is the way Alberto learns. So I'm going to teach it French this way.
Okay.
You see, that's the value of a teacher and of an educator.
Right.
But to be able to teach kids individually based on how this kid thinks, this one has a better memory. This one's more curious. It will adapt to each one.
So you think that the AI could actually start encroaching on teachers' jobs?
It's happening fast.
Yeah, okay, I see.
Homeschool, AI is going to teach your kids.
Right. Yeah. It has.
If I was a teacher, I'd be learning some new skills real fast. You know, I like teachers, but sometimes people know too much and they don't listen because there's no room in their minds for new knowledge.
Right.
They are in denial. I've been doing this for a number of years. I'm not replaceable. Oh my God, what happens now? I just got replaced.
Right.
So I would be looking very hard as to how to adapt to prompting. And prompting is just a word that we use now to describe the ability to learn how to communicate with a system to get it to do what you want.
Right.
That's probably going to change, you know. But teacher jobs, all those things are going bye-bye. AI will teach your kids. And they're going to learn, hopefully, what they want to learn, not what they're being told they're going to have to learn.
Right.
Again, we talked about the evil and the good, you know.
Right.
It can teach a kid early on. I'm not going to name the game. It's actually a TV show for kids. I was watching one the other day because these kids are addicted to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I was noticing the pattern. I don't know. I see patterns as to when the cartoon is playing, when it makes a suggestion,
right,
the number of sequence that it tells you to do something, it's like there's 4 movements when they ask you to do something.
Wow.
And the kid's learning, and then it starts knocking it down to 2. It's forcing your kid to think like this, to
right.
think very fast. But what that's actually doing, you're being overstimulated.
Mm-hmm.
And when you turn it off, the brain's like going like this, and the little kid is like, did you give your kid extra sugar? No, I don't know. He's just been acting all hyper lately.
Yeah,
I wonder why. Yeah. I don't know, but here's the little laptop again. Let him watch. It calms him down when he watches this thing.
Right.
That's AI.
Yes. So it's trying. You think that there's an effort for it to speed up and kind of overstimulate intentionally, right? Just to kind of bring up the speed of just life and culture in general.
It's just virtual reality.
Yeah.
Is changing real fast. When your brain is overstimulated, you know, it really screws you up. That's one reason porn screws people up. This overstimulation of things that a partner can act normal around someone.
Right.
Because it's just the brain's going through these changes. I think we're being programmed to live in a virtual world
mm-hmm.
where we're being stimulated by all these things that it's like you can't live unless you're being stimulated by all these things.
Right.
Normal life is extremely boring.
Exactly. So you have that going on, but you have to adapt to the AI world, but you don't want to let AI program you into an unhealthy mental state. So it's a tough balance that people
It
are having
is,
to walk
and
right
that's why
now.
it's important to be careful where you get your source of knowledge,
Right.
where you're learning. That's the beautiful thing about the United Party. You know what you guys are doing, and I appreciate it, and I see the value because you're teaching values, and I know you guys are going to evolve because people right now more than anything they need a United Party. They need a place where they can get great content and advice from people that have their best interest in mind.
Right.
That is not trying to coerce them into something. That's the beautiful thing about the United Party. What you guys are doing, so I commend you on that.
Thank
It's
you.
a place for people to go and find a source of information. I know you have vested advisors that you guys have brought on board to make sure that the best interest of your members is
Yes.
always at heart, and that whatever they're learning is clean. It's not, I don't think it's political. I believe the unit is of the political part, but you just have some Little House on the Prayer. It's one of
Good
those TV
wholesome
shows.
entertainment,
Good
baby.
wholesome entertainment.
Yeah.
It's just good for the soul. When you read the content on your website and stuff, it's to feel good. You want to go and hug your kids and say, hey, I learned something today, and I want to share this with you. What do you think about it?
Right.
That's the beautiful thing about the many things you guys are doing.
Thank you.
And it's a needed.
Yeah.
And for all these people that are scared about their jobs, you should be scared.
Yeah.
Very scared. But be proactive and reactive. Don't wait for something to happen to act.
Yes.
You need to start the process right now, understanding what value do you bring to your job. Why do you have your job? Because I've been doing this for 15 years. I'm an expert at whatever. Okay, now how can you take that skill and augment it using AI, and then come back to maybe your own employer and say, hey, I got some new skills,
Right.
and is to teach the system to do this. Make yourself irreplaceable. He who has the knowledge holds the keys.
That's a lot of truth in that. So I guess that kind of segues into like, what are the key takeaways you would say for anyone watching right now, just in preparation for what's to come? What would you say are like, if these are the things that you can focus on, this would be it?
Disconnect from your cell phone and your computer. Detox for at least one day.
Yeah.
And then sit down in a quiet place and write down what's important in your life.
Mm.
Where do you think you bring value to the world
Yes.
in whatever profession you have? And then it's up to you to figure out how you can turn this information into something valuable. And if you can teach it, you can monetize it.
Mm.
The number of companies, individuals that are lost right now trying to figure out what to do next, they're looking for people that have taken the time to learn how to provide a solution for people. There's a pathway to everything. AI is going to remove a lot of jobs, but it's going to force people to change how they do things, and new jobs will be created.
Right.
Somebody has to oversee these things, and there's not enough people with knowledge right now to oversee it.
Right.
So those are my key points.
You have any final thoughts for the listeners?
Don't be scared. The answer is very simple. We have a tendency to complicate things. The answer is always simple. You're fat, want to lose weight? Stop eating so much and get some exercise.
Right.
The answer is always simple, but we always got to look for a magic pill.
Yeah.
Something, You don't know how to swim? Learn to swim. The answer is always simple, but we complicate it. Do not let fear, because 99.9% of the things you worry about never happen.
Right.
And if it does happen, you got to be prepared. So don't wait for you to get fired and lose your job.
Right.
And as far as your kids, teach them to be curious,
Right.
to ask a lot of questions. If you have a kid that's bouncing off the wall when he's off their computer or cell phone, look at what they're watching. See if you
Amen.
see any patterns that stimulates the brain to just be thinking all the time, that when you take those devices off, they seem to be going crazy. It's because everything around them makes them boring.
So it's almost like this whole thing demands you to take more pause from it so you can clear your mind and really consider how you can leverage the tool.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
if you're constantly just all right here with it, you know, right in your face with it, you don't have time to zoom out and look at big picture. Right?
Exactly. You're being overstimulated with this thing, and you feel like you have to have an answer right now.
Right.
And you can't answer that when you have a million things hitting you at one time. The fear of losing your job is ugly.
Yeah.
You know, you live in a certain style of life, and all of a sudden you get fired. How are you going to pay for these things? The kids, so that, and proper planning prevents poor performance.
Amen.
You need
I
to
agree with that.
actively start finding a solution now. And the best way to do it is just disconnect from computers, cell phones. Take a day or two. You'll be amazed how you feel. And then just write down what's important to you. What skills do you possess? And it could be anything.
Yeah, it really could.
It could be anything. If all I knew was to change tires, then I would sit down and figure out, you know, how to, you know, get AI to create a little script on ways to change the tire more effectively. You're like, who the hell would buy that?
Right.
Short little story. Many years ago, I learned of this guy that, in fact, do you know anyone that has a parrot?
A parrot?
Huh?
Not anymore.
I met one person in my entire life that has a parrot.
I-
Well, this guy bought a parrot, and he was frustrated, like everybody else, of how to make your parrot talk.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, man. So he hires this guy, and he buys all these books on making your parrot talk. And so I want you to read all these books, and then I want you to write me a book based on this. And it became an ebook.
Okay.
And so the book's like $89. And it's how to get your parrot to talk.
Wow.
They sell about 10, 15 downloads a day.
Holy cow.
And it's been going on since as far as I can remember. If you do the math, and they're selling at $89, there's a lot of people in the world. You
No
might
doubt.
not know them.
Mm-hmm.
They have a parrot. They're frustrated and want to learn how to make it talk. So you never know. It might
That's
not
right.
be something that you're interested in, but someone out there wants to learn how to change tires.
And it all starts with taking that pause and reflection, right?
Yeah.
Spending time in prayer if you're into that, which, you know, let God speak to you.
Make yourself irreplaceable with your boss by learning the skills that will help guide the company to the future. Go and learn how to prompt. Go back to your boss and say, listen, I'm learning new skills to utilize AI to help this company do this.
Yes.
Now you may be scratched off that eliminate list.
Right.
That's what I would do if I was working for somebody.
I think it's great advice. And I think that it's very actionable for anyone that's watching. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me,
sharing
man.
that.
It's
I hope
always-
we can do it again
Oh,
sometime
we'll
soon.
do it soon, man. 6 months from now, we'll be talking about the robotic parts, you know, the singularity. But you know, one last thing is that the biggest fear for me is to stop and wonder, why didn't I do something? That scares me. I prefer to do it and fail and learn something
Mhm.
than to wonder, what if?
Exactly.
So for the people that are listening and watching, don't be scared. Just clear your mind and then take the step to learn the new skills necessary to survive in the future. Make yourself irreplaceable by learning the skills that you can provide to your current company that will make you replaceable.
Right. Well said. Simple formula.
We complicate things. The answer is always simple. And the ones that go, makes sense to me, let's do it, are the ones that win. And everybody else is so busy thinking about how it's not going to work. Those are the people that will lose your jobs and most likely is going to call you and ask you to borrow money from you.
Right.
That's the truth.
Well, thank you, Alberto.
Oh, thank you for
I
having me.
really
man.
appreciate you coming on. We'll do it again real soon. But until then, let's be golden.
Right on, brother. Take care.
Appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in to the United Creed podcast. We are a 501c3 nonprofit that provides funding for cancer patients to receive cutting-edge treatments that aren't currently covered by health insurance, while also fostering inner wellness through Freedom Prayer Ministry. I would like to invite you to go to theunitedcreed.com and donate $20 a month to our cause. That's just 65 cents a day, which isn't much, but your donation is literally an answer to thousands of prayers. Take my story, for example. My community rallied around me and raised money so that I could receive immunosine dendritic cell treatments, which isn't currently covered by health insurance. I'm happy to report that I'm in good health and enjoying excellent quality of life. And this treatment wouldn't have been possible for me without the compassion of my community. So this is what inspired my wife and I to form the United Creed. Our goal is to inspire 50,000 people to subscribe to giving $20 a month to our cause. That would raise enough money to cover 100% of immunosine dendritic cell treatments and travel for over 100 cancer patients every single year. So please go to theunitedcreed.com and click the donate button today. Together, we can bring unity and perseverance for the cancer community. I know it because I've witnessed it. So thank you, and God bless.